Let's check. Come on, D-Live, you can do it. Let's check. Live. D-Live is live. Let's check. Twitch. Come on, D-Live, you can do it. Oh, who's that already? Foxhole is up already. Twitch is live. Is YouTube tubing? Tubing. It is Facebooking. I would like to book your face, please. It is Twitter twittering. Wow, Twitter, come on. Is Rumble rumbling? Is Rumble Rumble seems rumbling. Twitter, what is up with you? What is going on, Twitter? Let me just toggle Twitter. When's the last time you toggled Twitter? Just saying. Let's check Twitter. Hey, thanks, Rev. We got a 5x5 on Twitch. Slight delay on the start while we troubleshoot the Twitter. And, am I banned on Twitter? Maybe I'm banned on Twitter. I got some sort of replay issue. Oh, no, that one will work. Here we go. Maybe I'm banned on Twitter. Twitter is twittering. You always hope to get banned on Twitter, don't you? All right. With that said,
welcome to the 9dNation.
בראשית ברא אלוהים את השמיים ואת הארץ.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Thousands of years later, it was Wednesday at 11 p.m. Central. Get your passport ready and be prepared to declare to the customs agents any edible plants or miscellaneous worldviews. You're now crossing into the nation with no denomination.
welcome to Wednesday night on G-Ross. It is May 24th, and tonight we're going to have episode 53. In the first 52 episodes, we learned, I claim, as follows. No more water-based resets, meaning the Great Flood. No demonic half-breeds. No murder. No blood drinking. These are the things not allowed. Among Japhethites and Hamites, Shemite Abraham sired full-blood Isaac and Egyptian wild archer Ishmael, or half-Egyptian, I should say. Warlord Abraham negotiated into Philistine by pen and paper. Elohim sent Abraham to sacrifice Isaac and interrupted at the last second because Ahiah provides, and through Abraham will bless all nations. So with that, I would like to get us into tonight's text. It's my Ed McMahon. Oh, noob. What a noob. Lame. Fixed it. Oh. It is Wednesday, isn't it? I think it is. Should I be here? All right. We're doing Genesis 22. Tonight we're going to cover at least verse 20 through chapter 23, verse 15. Now it came about after these things that Abraham was told, saying, Behold, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz. How'd you like to be named Uz? Uz. Well, meet my brother Booz. His brother, Kemuel, the father of Aram. Chesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. And it was Bethuel who fathered Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also, that's what they say, right? Her name was Reumah. At least that's what I've heard. Get it? Also gave birth to Teba, Gaham, Tahash, and Maacah. Now I'm going to read at least to verse 15. Now Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Avraham came in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Avraham arose from mourning before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a foreign resident among you. Give me a burial site among you so that I may bury my dead out of my sight. It's not very romantic, is it? The sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our graves. None of us will refuse you for his grave, for burying your dead. So Abraham stood up and bowed to the people of the land, the sons of Heth, and he spoke to them, saying, If you are willing to let me bury my dead out of my sight, listen to me and plead with Ephron, the son of Zohar, for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns, which is at the end of his field. For the full price let him give it to me in your presence for a burial site. Now Ephron was sitting among the sons of Heth, and Ephron and Hittite answered Abraham, so that the sons of Heth heard, that is, all who entered the gate of his city, saying, No. He's like, bro, I'm right here. No, my lord, listen to me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that's in it. In the presence of the son of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead. Ain't no thing. And Abraham bowed before the people of the land, but he spoke to Ephron, so that the people of the land heard, saying, If you will only please listen to me, I will give the price of the field. Accept it from me, so that I may bury my dead here. Then Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My lord, listen to me. A plot of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between me and you? So bury your dead. I'll pause there and switch to what I like to claim is Hebrew. Hello, Black Yoda and Nemster. In case you're new here, anybody listening, in about 30 minutes, it's the midweek crew, yeah. In about 30 minutes, we will have co-host Black Yoda in the house. All right. Where would be 22? All right, we gotta get this. All right, so we're covering from verse 20. All right, 20 through 24. Vehi achari hadavarim haela vayugad leAvraham lemor hine yaleda Milka gam hi benim lenachor achicha et uz bechoro viet buz achiu viet Kemuel avi Aram viet Kesed viet Chaso viet Peeldas viet Yaedlav viet Betuel. Uvetuel yalad et Revka Shemona ele yaleda meelka lanachor achi Avraham. Ufilagsho ushema reuma vateled gam hi et teva vaet hacham vaet lachas vaet macha. Let's go to chapter 23. We'll read the first 5 verses, then scroll from there. Vayihu chaya Sarah mesh shana ve'isrim shana vasheva shanim shene chaya Sarah. Vatamat Sarah bakiryat arbahi chevron be'eretz Kenaan vayavo Avraham lespod la Sarah velivgota. Vayakam Avraham me'el pene meto vaidaber el bene chet lemor. Ger vetewashav anochi imachem tenu li achuzat kever imachem ve'ekbera meti milfene. Vayanu vene chet et Avraham lemor lo. Verse 6 through 9. Shema'enu Adonai Nasi Elohim ata betochenu b'mivakar kevarenu kevor et metecha ish mimenu et kivro lo kichle mimecha mikevor mitecha. Vayakam Avraham vayishtachu elam haaretz livna chet. Vaidaber itam lemor im yesh et nafshachem likbor et meti milefene. Shamauni ufigu li be'epron bin sochar. Vayatin liet me'arat hamachpela asher lo asher bikte. Sadehu bechedef male yitanena li betochem la achuzat kaver. All right, verse 10. And 11, and then we'll scroll. Ve'Ephron Yoshev benechet vayan Ephron Hakiti et Avraham bazini venechet lechol bea sha'ar iro lemor la Adonai shamani hasade natati lech vehemira asher bo lecha natatiha le'ene vene ami natatiha lech kevor metecha. Verse 12. Almost done. 12 through 16. 12 through 15. Vayishtachu Avraham livneim haaretz vedeber el Ephron beizna am haaretz lemor ach im atalu shemaini natati kesef hasada kach memeni vikbera et miti shama. Vaya an Ephron et Avraham lemor lo, Adonai shemaunu eretz arba meot shekel kesef bini, uve necha mahi ve'et metacha kevaur. Okay. Having said all that, let's check on the chat. Lurking noises out there. It sounds like Pythaggy. There's no proof. Hello, Truett. Truett's in the house. All right. So going back to verse 20. Let's cut this up a little. You know what I'm saying? Let's divide the word. So there's no new words here in verse 21. Oh no, verse 20. Then Abraham heard Milcah has had brother Nahor's kids. So our story so far would now include Elohim had Abraham do a dry run of sacrificing Isaac, which will lead to blessings to the world. Milcah had his brother Nahor's kids. All right. Good start. Off to a good start. If I can only learn how to work my mouse. Verse 21. No new words here. Uz, Buz, Kemuel, father of Aram. Verse 22. No new words here either. And Hesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Verse 23. Just doing a little genealogy here. No new words. Bethuel had Rebekah. Milcah had these 8 kids with Nahor, Abraham's brother. So, in our story so far, I'm going to update it to say Warlord Abraham merged peacefully into Philistine. His dress rehearsal human sacrifice of his son Isaac leads to world blessings. Milcah had his brother Nahor's kids, and one of them had Rebekah. So Abraham's son, by his half-sister, married the granddaughter of his brother and niece, which resulted in a child who married his cousins. Let's try that again. Abraham's son, by way of his half-sister, Abraham's half-sister, and he had a son, who married the granddaughter of his brother, and his niece, the granddaughter of his brother and niece. So Abraham's son, by his half-sister, married the granddaughter of his brother and niece, Abraham's brother and Abraham's niece, which resulted in a child who married his cousins. I'm just saying. You need to know that, I think. I stopped and put that together. It took me like 20 minutes, and I'm still not sure I have it right. I think it's Abraham and his half-sister had a son who married the granddaughter of Abraham's brother and Abraham's niece, which resulted in Isaac, who married Isaac's cousins. Just saying. That's like, this may be, like if we get to this part of Duppy's spreadsheet, this may be the most, like, confusing flowchart that there could possibly be. I'm just saying. I should probably write that up in a spreadsheet and email it over to Duppy. Verse 24. Okay, enough of that. Verse 24. Miss 320's here for a short time. Commander Sloan, great show. Thanks for replaying those 2 awesome slingshot videos. That was awesome. Chops ITMC is in the house. Oh, yeah, thanks. I'm going to push the red pill. I kind of need to push it. Yeah, boom. The midweek crew. You know? It's how it do. Verse 24 has in it one new word that we've never seen before. Pilagesh. That means concubine. There's 37 examples in the Old Testament. And they're pretty straightforwardly translated to concubine. So I looked up the English, and the second definition is secondary wife, usually of inferior rank. I thought that was an interesting second definition. I think the first definition was like lady on the side or something. So his number 2, Reuma, had Teba, Graham, Tahash, and Makkah. All right. Can I work the mouse? I'm struggling. Chapter 23. We just closed a chapter out, team. It's kind of fun, right? It's always fun to turn the page, isn't it? All right. Sarah lived 127 years. Next verse. One new word here, safad. That's to wail and lament. There's 32 examples in the Old Testament. It can also mean to mourn. Sarah died in Korjath Arbara, otherwise known as Hebron, in Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn and weep for her. Or wail and lament, perhaps? He doesn't seem to want her buried anywhere near him. Maybe he's just lazy. Maybe he didn't think the body would make it all the way back. I don't know. So in our story so far, he went to Hebron to mourn Sarah. They were 26 miles apart. Abraham couldn't be with her in her passing, maybe because of she was mad at him over Isaac, or She was mad because he didn't see it through, or were they estranged? It's often seen that they were estranged, but they were 26 miles apart, and he didn't witness her passing. So take that for what it is. They were 26 miles apart. Verse 3. Abraham got up from the funeral and talked to the sons of Heth. Verse 24 has two new words that we've never seen before, going straight through from Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Toshab. That's a sojourner. There's only 14 usages in the Old Testament, but it does come from yashab, which is to sit, remain, or dwell. And there's 1,082 examples of that in the Old Testament. So Toshab, yashab, close enough, right? Yashab is to dwell, and Toshab is to sojourn. Keber, that's a grave or a sepulcher. There's, I feel like we had another sojourn word before. Anyway, Keber is a grave sepulcher. 68 examples in the Old Testament. Comes from kabar, which is to bury, which we've seen before. So kabar becomes keber. One's the noun, one's the verb. So he's like, I'm a foreigner, a sojourner here. Give me a property for a grave and among you, and so I can bury my dead, not where I hang out, but here. Like, wouldn't they just be like, man, take your dead out with you? So he went to Hebron to mourn Sarah, but did not want to bring her body back. I'm not going to dote on that or harp on that, but it did catch my ear. Let's look at Toshab. I feel like I didn't do a good enough job on that. Visitor. Comes from Yashab. How similar are those words? So there's the little blink, the little upside down W looking thing, and the deal. So it's got the T in front of it. That little pie looking thing or whatever, this right here, that's a T. Toshab, or a T sound. Yashab. Toshab. I don't know why they say it's from Yashab. I guess it's a similar root. Anyway, in context, I'm pretty cool with it. A foreigner, I'm hanging out among you. I could see that. I'm not going to quibble. Verse 5. Heth's sons answered Abraham, saying... So he shopped for a grave from Heth's sons, who said... What'd they say? Verse 6, they said... We need to learn the word mikbar, or mibkar, choicest or best. There's only 13 Old Testament usages, but they say it comes from bakar, which we've seen 152 examples, or, we've seen before, and it has that many examples. Mibkar from bakar, I guess. Yeah, I could see that, actually. Here, let me show you. Look at the letters. It's got like the... Here, let's look at them side by side. Well, it's got like kind of an extra letter. So, Bachar, M-Bachar. I could see it. It's close enough. I'm going to go with it. Man, I feel like I got a little lazy this week. Listen, mighty Lord Prince who hangs with us, take the best grave. We would never stop you. So he shopped for a grave from Heth's sons. When you're looking for a grave, look no further than Heth's sons. I just wrote a slogan for... they're like, here, take the best. That could be their slogan. Here at Heth's sons, we always like to say, take the best. The grave for your estranged wives. Somebody said, I forgot where I heard this. It's an anchor corpse. Are you seeing this? Because we know how this story goes. For the next, 6,000 years, or about, This is maybe 500 years in, 1,000 years in. For the next 4,000 or 5,000 years, they're going to argue about who really owns these places. So this is an anchor corpse. Can I say that? Is that okay to say? Did I make that up? So Abraham stood and bowed to the people of Hethson land. I'm calling it Hethson land. We're Gen 23. What are we on? Verse 7. So let me boil down our story so far. After the one and only water-based reset, reminder, no demon half-breeds, murder, or blood drinking. Among Japhethites, Shemite warlord Abraham sired Isaac, half-Hamite Ishmael, and merged peacefully into Philistine. He almost sacrificed Isaac, which blessed the world. He brought a grave for Sarah in Hethson land. I'm making up that word. The land of the son of Heth. Let me check on the chat. It's an internet relationship. I don't know where. But wait, there's more, right? If you don't listen, if you were out shopping for a grave, what would you be looking for? Would you like it a far distance from your home? We've got that. That's all I have so far in my sales pitch. All right. Verse 8. There's a new word here that we haven't seen. Pagah. That's to meet or encounter or reach. 46 examples of the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, and it has a connotation of to kind of come over upon, like to swarm. So to come talk you into something, like to press, like, hey, you guys, go sell or champion or campaign Ephron. He's like, go convince him. So he said to them, if that's the case, that you want me to bury Sarah all the way over here, far from where I hang out, then go convince Ephron, Zoharson. He's the son of Zohar. So he bought a grave for Sarah from Ephron Zoharson in Hethson land. I'm going to open an amusement park in Hethson land. Less than 10 miles from the Dead Sea. Come see Hethson land. I'm just a salesperson today. Verse 9. Verse 9. We're jamming through this because in about 5-10 minutes, we want to get to part 2. There's one new word here, male, that's full. This is verse 9. There's 55 examples in the Old Testament. It comes from male or malah, to be full, and we saw this before in a word malah. It's got 253 examples all told in the Old Testament. So he'll give me the Machpelah cave at the end of his field at full price for a grave, is what this says. In order that he'll give me the cave of Machpelah, which he has at the end of his field, at the price full, let him give it to me among you as property for a burial place. I just want it for a grave. I just want it to bury the people. Let's go see verse 10. What will it bring us? I think we're going to go 6 more verses, including this one. Hittite Ephron was sitting right there and said, yo, right here. He spoke up. Verse 11, he didn't really say right here. Here, Dad. No, Lord, listen up. I give you the field and the cave in it in front of my sons and the people as a gift for your grave. It's free. It's free. I'm not going to charge you. So we learned that Abraham bought a grave for definitely a fair price for Sarah from Ephron. Because in a minute he's going to say, what's this price between friends? I give it in the presence. I give it to you. He doesn't name a price. Now, the give could be part of the negotiation, but he's not naming a price, so it's not a negotiation, it seems. There's this, not 100% for sure, but this strong sense in the grammar that he wants to just give it, whatever. You name your price, bro. He's like, you tell me the fair market price. So verse 12. Abraham bowed to the natives. Verse 13. And he said to Ephron with local witnesses saying, no, I'll pay for sure, please, for the gravesite. Please hear me. I'll give you the money for the field. Take it from me. Take the money. Take the money. Your money's no good here, Abraham. Why? Why do I take money from the great and powerful Abraham? So Ephron answered Abraham. What did he say? Verse 15, last one for the night. We need to look up one new word. Believe it or not, we have not seen the word shekel. But we have seen, we haven't seen the word shekel. It's a measure of weight, and there's 88 examples in the Old Testament. So if you go to qa.answers.com, how much is 400 ancient shekels of silver in U.S. dollars? A single shekel was enough to support a small family for about a week. So I kind of looked at it, and I'm like, it's probably a half acre, maybe, or an acre. I'm just guessing. Totally guessing. So, Lord, listen, it's technically worth about $100,000 or so, but it's a trifle between us. I would never worry about charging you. At any rate, it's yours as a gravesite. And we'll see next week. He's like, nah, I'm gonna count it out. Foot pow, count them hundreds. And he's gonna give it to him. But I wanted to pause there because it's kind of that's where I chose. So our story so far includes everyone was definitely cool with it, and everybody knew about it. So all told, here's what we've learned from Genesis 1:1 to Genesis 23:15 that we're carrying forward. After the one and only water-based reset, reminder, no demonic half-breeds, no murder, no blood drinking. Among Japhethites, Shemite warlord Abraham sired Isaac and half-Himite Ishmael and merged peacefully into Philistine. He almost sacrificed Isaac, which blessed the world, and he bought a completely fair gravesite in Hethson land. With that, I'm going to unceremoniously can the music and get our meeting link, brand new meeting link, up and going. Used lanes erupt merely. It's coming to the chat. Oh yeah. It sounds like, okay, not only is your wife going to be buried away from your house, but wait, there's more. The land will be contested for decades. But wait, there's more. Let's see what this YouTube is from Nova.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another...
Cool. So, Abraham, not Lincoln. Guess who's in the house?
What is up, people?
Black Yoda. Good to see you.
How is it going with you this week, sir?
Oh, man. Well, just got back about 45 minutes, no, about an hour, a little over an hour ago, from a Carlos Machado seminar. We get about one a year. He's like a old school Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
How about you for the week?
My best friend is here from Oregon. His daughter's graduating. Get this. She's graduating college, right?
Right.
Because she was taking, she was getting college credits while she was in high school. So somehow she managed to get her associate's degree and graduate before she actually graduated from high school.
No,
What?
she graduated from high school last week.
But she finished college before that, though.
But she...
Will you shut up? Technically, she graduated college before she finished high school, but she graduated high school last week. So he's here for both graduations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and she's the fun one. She's the one that we would go we would take her with us to football games, like the Arizona Cardinals against like Detroit Lions, you know. So one of the graduations is tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's the college or the high school.
No, it's college.
Wow.
But I haven't seen him in almost 2 years.
Wow.
So
Nice.
right now they're at a Airbnb, and then he's gonna stay the weekend with us. So we'll hang out, catch up. Oh, I get to meet his fiance for the first time.
Nice.
So, but she's a Democrat, and we've already had arguments over the telephone about the politics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we agreed to not have any political conversations this weekend. You know?
Nice. That'll make for smooth hanging.
Yeah, yeah. Because with current trajectory, with like economy and just everything else you can think of, even as a Democrat, you got to be able to see it. You know what I mean?
I do. I think so.
I think they're blind.
Oh my God.
They
I
might
thought we
be.
agreed that you weren't going to talk. See, normally she's not sitting out here when we do this.
Hi, Bernie.
Because
Hey, G.
I swear
But
I'm gonna
I
punch
swear
you
to
in the
God.
throat chakra.
I swear to God, I think they're blind.
Something's going on.
Normally she's not out here because she's nice and tipsy at this time of night. But she wanted to, not participate, but she just wanted to see the show versus watching a
Nice.
replay. You know what I mean? But anyway, hey, did you get that link that I sent you earlier?
Oh, is it on? Let me look. I've been at that seminar last few hours. Let me see. Somehow I missed it. Let me check.
Did you send the
Oh,
one that-
dang. You can tell I'm old because I got to hold the phone like 8,000 feet away from my eyeballs.
If I'm wearing my glasses, I have to do that. It's easier for me to take my glasses off when things are like real close to my face.
Did you send him the one about the lady talking about the
Yeah.
breakdown? Okay.
It's about 3 minutes long, roughly. But she's doing a breakdown that I've never seen before.
I think I've seen this. Except for I think she's doing it again. Let's see. She might have remade this video.
I think it's definitely worth playing.
Sure.
I was impressed. I have the link on my Facebook if it's easier for you to.
Yeah, let me go to that. I was just sitting there
It's on my
watching it.
regular. It's on my. I changed my.
You're not Steven Ferner?
Yeah, but I've added Black Yoda to it because every time I try to go to my Black Yoda page on my phone, Facebook is doing something to make it super glitchy.
Those pigs.
In the begin.
It should be like the second or third one down.
Mm-hmm. I see it. Let me share it so you can hear it.
In the beginning. Okay, let's pause right there and look at this in Hebrew. The Hebrew word for beginning is this word right here, bereshit. And remember, they read from right to left. So we will break down every letter together. So from right to left, this is the letter Beit, Resh, Aleph, Shin, Yod, and Tav, which spells bereshit, which means beginning. The letter beit or B means tent, and the letter resh or R means the chief, the head chief. Together, BR is read as bar, and together it means son. The letter Aleph is kind of like a vowel, and it means Adonai, so we'll do a heart for God. The letter Shin means to destroy, so it's kind of like, looks like a claw, so that's how I remember it. This character means hand, the letter Yod. And this last character is Tav, which is T, and it means cross or covenant. To summarize, Beit, Resh, Aleph, Shin, Yod, Tav spelled Bereshit, which means the beginning, and it's already forming a sentence. The Son of God destroyed by his own hand on the cross. But we're not done yet. Earlier, we discussed how Beit and Resh together is pronounced bar, which means son, so there are words within this word. Another one is Shin, Yod, and Tav together. It is read sayit, but the English word is thorns. And if you want to look it up, the concordance number is H7898. Next, we have Resh, Aleph, and Shin, which is read as Rosh, and in English, it means head. So just to prove it, we've got Resh, Aleph, and Shin right there. The next word we're going to discuss is Berosh, which is spelled with a B, R, and Shin. So it's this except for Aleph. So this means tree, cypress tree, actually. These two together, the Shin and Yod, means gift. And again, Tav means cross or covenant. Okay, let's try to put this together. The Son of God destroyed by his own hand on the cross with thorns on his head, hung up on a tree as a gift of the covenant. Wait, so Jesus was in the beginning? Yes. In John 1:1, what does it say? In the beginning was the Word. And who was the Word? The Word was God. The Word was with God. So since the very beginning, Jesus had always been there.
Good stuff.
I thought so. Dude, I didn't even know what to say when I saw that earlier.
Oh,
I mean, I had to actually, I watched it a couple times by now, but I actually had to sit back and like really put that together because you can extrapolate all of that from just one sentence. And I know, Hebrew and math have a correlation, but I was like, wow, you can get all of that from the very first sentence out of the Bible. That's remarkable.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Imagine trying to translate the rest of the Bible sentence by sentence like that. That would take a lifetime.
Yes.
God. That's why I like people like Pythaggy and Duppy. They do a lot of the legwork.
Oh, yeah. Working hard.
I'd like to hear their thoughts on that one.
Me too. I think if I understood it right, she took the first letter of every word and just stuck the letters and then pretty much found every word you can make with those letters.
Yeah, she started chunking them from left from
Right to
left
left.
to
Yeah.
yeah.
And I wonder, if you just went to like a Tale of Two Cities and did that with the first sentence with the English letters and took every word you could form out of those, I wonder if you could make a sentence out of it. Like, is that common?
Well, she's translating Hebrew.
Right. So is it something special to Hebrew? Because like you said, it's a mathematical language.
I would say the complication between the more ancient languages, you got that kind of structure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I was looking at something a while back that was saying the English language is similar, but it's backwards. We just never knew it.
Ooh, interesting.
And
I kind of buy into that thing where English is a trap, because all the weekday and, that stuff that came out a little while ago that people started discovering, where it's like it's a language that kind of controls us with really depression. Everything's just like, you suck, everything sucks.
Well, no, it's more wordplay than that. Like,
Yeah.
what's a good example? Um, like when people say good morning.
Yeah.
Mourning is something you do when somebody dies.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of wordplay in our English that we don't really notice.
Right.
And there's a type of spelling involved. And when I say spelling, I'm talking witchcraft.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I've looked at videos going over stuff like that, particularly in relation to like the English language. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can only imagine these things in Latin. I mean, you mess around and summon a demon trying to read Latin. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Man. As far as what we were going over tonight, should we wait to see if anybody else wants to jump in before we start talking about that?
Yeah, there's 2 notes out there from Pythagi in the chat, which I can read here in a second. So I'm just kind of glancing over it. Okay, let me just ask you. What did you think about the massive inbreeding that was just, I was, yeah.
Dude, you really need a spreadsheet. I would
I know.
I'd imagine Wikipedia would have a breakdown of the names.
They do. That's what I was staring at. It was hurting my eyes so bad. I'm like, wait, because like it would draw the line to the mother and the father who would both have the same mother and father each and stuff. And I'm like, what is going on?
There
Like
was a lot of sex taking place. I'll say that much.
Yep.
But one of the things I was thinking about was let me look at it again. Will. On Genesis 23:3. I was curious, did more people die other than Sarah?
Ooh, good question.
And that's the way they worded it.
23:3. His dead. Let's see if that's let me look and see if that's a plural word, if I can tell.
Because why would it refer to it as his dead versus his wife? Or dead wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's look at that.
Or am I overthinking that one?
No, I don't think so. ESV says his dead. A lot of them stick the word wife in there, like his dead wife. Let's go back and look. I don't know if you can see the...
It's really small to me.
So, it's conjugated as... Here, let's look at the raw word. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into... Mito. So, mut is to die. Mito, it's only conjugated that way once. It's his singular dead. It doesn't say female dead. I don't know how that works. So it's a little bit shaped from the original word. Yeah. I'm going to guess only her, but maybe she was pretty old.
Yeah, but he was a lot older than her. And it doesn't really... I mean, it kind of just took a left turn when it came to her. Because they didn't say that she was... previously sick or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because she's no longer under the protection of Warlord Abraham if she's 26 miles away, right? So maybe some bandits came through.
I think they would have been more descriptive if that happened.
Yeah.
But whatever happened, I don't. I think it caught him off guard.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. He might have been like, I'll make it up. I'll make up with Sarah, but I'm busy right now. And then, boom, she's gone.
Because he wanted her body out of sight, like
Right.
quick. And I don't think that was because he didn't like her or love her or anything. I think he was in shock and he was just genuinely heartbroken.
Right. Yeah, I didn't want to overplay that they were estranged, but it does come up. Some people do discuss that. You know, why weren't they together?
I honestly don't know how to answer that one.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, how often do you travel to go do something and you have to take your wife with you? It's not always necessary. She's supposed to be at the home base anyway. You know what I mean?
Well, she used to travel with him. Maybe she wasn't hot enough anymore to like fool a bunch of kings into giving them a bunch of gold.
Yeah, but when they were doing those travels, a lot of those travels were just like they were relocating.
Right.
It wasn't like he was going to sell spices and going back. You know what I mean?
He liked the second place, but the first place, Egypt, they didn't stay there. But they did stay in the second place, Gerar. Or he did. Sloan TV says his buddy of his used to say, instead of morning, ma'am, I'm horny, ma'am. Or let's see if I can do it right. I'm horny, ma'am. And you would think he was saying morning, ma'am. Duppy says Mot was the Canaanite god of death. That word death we were just looking at, Mut.
Okay.
Before I forget, so Pythagi pointed out she was 127, like it says. And how old was Abraham at that time? Wasn't he like 6 or 8 years older?
I was thinking about that earlier, and I couldn't remember how much older he is than her.
Like maybe 10 years older? And here's an observation from Pythagi. Abraham was supposed to lose Isaac, but lost Sarah instead.
Yeah. But I think a lot of time has gone by between that story and this one.
Right, but he is older than her, so he theoretically you'd have guessed he'd go first.
I mean, because right after he was about to sacrifice his son, it goes into a breakdown of all the kids that his brothers had. So that could almost imply there's been some years that went by.
You know, I think you're right. Yeah, like 10 years or so. Namster brought up a good point. There may have been cultural reasons to bury her fast instead of bringing her back. I didn't even think of that.
Well, I mean, eventually rigor mortis is going to kick in. You know what I mean?
There's some people these days, some cultures, you got to do it within 3 days or something, and you got to use a pine box and stuff.
To be honest with you, I don't know why I was thinking this, but I'm surprised they didn't just burn the body.
I think these days, I think the Jewish practice is you're not allowed to. I don't think. Let me look that up. Let's see. Are conservative Jews allowed to cremate? Let's see what it says. Strongly oppose.
Now, she died at home, right?
At her new home, 26. Well, He moved to Gerar. She stayed in Hebron.
But why would he need to buy land from somebody else to bury her?
He had a deed in Gerar, but he didn't have a deed up there yet. Also, I suspect he's putting together a big deal, a coup. Because they've been fighting over. Yep.
If she was living there, how did he not have a deed to his own land?
Well, maybe they did they want to bury her on the land, or did he want to, expand?
I don't know.
I think that's his first title to land. I remember hearing this, and I can't prove it right now. I think that's his first piece of land in that area up there. So she was probably either renting or hanging out with relatives or something. I know he had lived there before too, but he was in the outskirts in a tent, usually between Bethel and Ai. Can you see my screen? I don't know how big the screen is. This is that family tree I was looking at.
Okay.
So here's Abraham. And okay, let's go up here. So you see Abraham and Sarah both have the same father.
Hey,
Terah.
will you link that to my Facebook?
Yeah.
Link it link it to that video.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That way I can be lazy looking it up later.
Will do.
Because
Putting
without
it
a
there.
flow chart, dude, it's kind of hard to understand those names.
I know. So check this out. Let's see if I wrote it down right. So he's got, with his half-sister, he's got Isaac, who marries Rebecca, who comes from Bethuel, who came from Nahor, his brother, and Milcah. Yeah, that's his. So it's his nephew, or no, his what's that? His brother. So his granddaughter. Wait, his. I'm so confused. So it's his niece. Here's his niece. And his brother. So I think it's even worse than I wrote down. How did I say it? Let me scroll down here. Where did I put it?
I mean, because on the surface, this doesn't have a good look, people. Like with how we do relations now.
Well, I don't think they ever broke a single rule. And that's one of the reasons I'm harping on it is as I read this stuff, I'm learning that we're stricter than they used to be.
Apparently.
Right. Let's see. Abraham's son by his half-sister married the granddaughter of his brother and niece. Yeah. Yeah. The granddaughter of his brother and niece. So did I say that right? Here's his brother. Here's his niece. And yeah, that's the granddaughter is Rebecca. So I did say that right. And then that kid ends up marrying his cousins, plural. Or no. Yeah, his kid marries his cousins. Yeah, Jacob marries Rachel and Leah, who are cousins.
Which one of Noah's kids was Abraham descended from? I forgot.
He's a Shemite. He's from Shem.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, let me catch up with the chat here. It's been so Duppy says Abraham holds the patent for Viagra.
Oh, wow.
Central 1234 says, "Who is Osiris?"
He's a Egyptian god.
All right, so now let's see. There was another. Just really one more topic. I mean, I've got to admit, like, I'm sure I could get more out of this text than I'm getting. But to me, it's kind of a little bit of housekeeping. You know, it's a little genealogy and a little bit of land deed titling or, purchasing. And I didn't get a whole bunch else out of it.
That's a lot of verses just to explain. Yeah, you can have some land. Well, let me give you some money for it. All right. That's what's up. That's a lot of verses just for that. You know what I mean?
Right. Did you ever have, I think this is a generational thing, and I feel like sometimes people our age, and I know you're younger than me, but you still had a similar generation than I did, where somewhere in the adults.
You're still Gen X, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like the last year of Gen X.
So I feel like, did you have like aunts or aunts, as we used to say? I always say aunt, but they used to say aunt nearby me. Or my grandmother or my mom, like, who's going to pick up the lunch tab at the restaurant? And they would fight over it, you know, and it's like, it almost feels like that's happening here. You know, they're negotiating, you know, he wants to pay too much and the guy wants him to not pay enough, you know?
I kind of get what you're meaning. I knew one of these damn things was going to show up. Give me a second.
Oh, you get a palmetto.
Yeah.
Central 1234. I've been at the cloisters. Have you ever been there? That's a fun museum. I did not know there was a genealogy.
Son of a bitch.
Hadad was one of the names of Baal. Interesting, Duppy.
Oh, motherfucker.
I'm not looking at the camera. I need to be looking. And that was the last we saw of Black Yoda.
Oh, like, all right, so I got like a lot of plants out here on the front patio.
Yeah.
And I got to lean over the plants. Some of them are bushy and tall, and I'm trying to hit them with my flip-flop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got one. I was in mid-swing, bro, and he flew from the wall to another wall. Scared the shit out of me. I hate those things.
I hate when they fly. It's wrong. They should not be having that superpower.
I don't know what it is about them that creeps me out.
I've got a link from.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
All right, so they said 400 shekels.
Oh, yeah.
The pieces of silver that Judah got, were those pieces called shekels or no?
Oh, good question. I think there was 30 pieces. Let's see. Judah's silver pieces. 30 pieces of silver. Matthew 26:15. So let's look.
Because I was just curious about the value of 400 shekels.
Right.
In comparison to those 30 pieces.
Mm-hmm. 26:15. Run straight to the Greek. 30 pieces. Let's see. Argyria. Let's see what that is. Yeah, it says it can be. It was a common coin. It could be close to a shekel. Probably is very close from what I'm seeing at a glance.
It would have been in like Roman money, right?
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. But I mean, it's the same culture. It's the same, flash forward hundreds of years. It's the same. So yeah, 30 coins of silver versus 400. So it's basically like comparison, like 12-1, something like that.
Or what if the shekels were like little bars of silver? Because I don't really imagine them minting a coin. I
guess they used to stamp them, right? Pound them out and like go, Tang.
I don't know. Duppy or Thaggy would be better to answer that.
We gotta know.
It was just something
There's
that crossed my mind when you were reading.
there's aliens in the walls at the Cloisters Museum, according to Central 1234.
Say
Namster
that again?
says, "Oh, sorry, go ahead."
No, I didn't hear you about the alien thing.
Yeah, aliens in the walls. We were talking about this while you were smashing the roaches. There was this. We were talking about the Cloisters, which is a museum I've been to. Central 1234 mentioned it. It's in New York. So Namster says you can get a can of Bingle insect spray, which will kill those things. I've never heard of Bingle.
You know what I use? And this stuff is great on weeds and stuff too, people. I have a spray bottle. I don't know if you can see it. Pretty good sized spray bottle. I fill it up pretty much 50-50 with distilled vinegar and hot water.
Mm-hmm.
And then I add some dish liquid to it. So the viscosity of it is thicker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I will squirt the shit out of one of those things. About 5 good squirts. And what happens is it coats them to the point where they suffocate. You know what I mean?
Nice. A
So you
brutal
don't
death.
die immediately, but they will die. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I don't have, because my dogs are out here on the patio all the time. You know what I mean? Because I got a front gate. They can't go
Uh-huh.
anywhere. And it's pet friendly versus
Yeah.
chemicals. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Now I know what Central 1234 is talking about. There's big-headed aliens on the walls. I do remember seeing. I either saw them or heard about it later. I can't. It's been a while since I've been in that museum. Are you able to see my screen? You may not be able to read it, but this is a PDF of some Bible prophecies
I
listed.
can't read it, but I can see it.
Yeah, I'm wondering. P. Thaggy sent it on a foxhole message, and I wonder which one he's calling out. I was glancing through them all. We're not. I don't think we've read any of them. So, P. Thaggy, if you hear this and put it in the chat, just say which one to look at.
What are they talking about?
The ones that are tied to predicting Jesus, like born of the tribe of Judah, from David, son of Jesse, born in Bethlehem, born of a virgin, babies killed after his birth. That's from Jeremiah 31:15. Called out of Egypt, stuff like that.
Well, you know what? That ties together really well with that video that I asked you to play.
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe that's why he put that. Yeah. Right. That's probably exactly why he emailed that. Yeah, very good point.
I just was really impressed with that breakdown. I've never seen that before.
Uh-huh. You didn't get much reaction out of me because I saw it a few months ago. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I love this.
Was it
But
the
it's
same
really
video?
awesome.
Did she redo it?
I don't think she did redo it, but you know how sometimes, like, I don't know, as I'm watching it and haven't seen it in a while, I'm like, and I was watching it without sound, and I was like, is this the same exact video? But when I heard the sound, when I turned the sound on, I'm like, yeah, that's, I could remember the whole thing. It was definitely
Hey,
her.
Maggie's in the house.
P. Thaggy.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I was hoping you would participate.
Well, so I sent that PDF to both you guys. I guess, Yoda, you're not by your computer or whatever, but
Nah,
it,
I'll notice it later.
it was from the video that you played about
That
in the
makes sense.
beginning, and so I wasn't referencing any particular verse, but this is the sauce. I think Yoda said something like 2, 3 months ago. He's like, "Are you aware of how many references there are in the Old Testament to a Savior, to specifically Jesus?" And I
Oh,
was like, And I was like, yeah, but I don't see any there. I don't see it as prophecy. Now, I was trolling him at the time. I wanted to see how he would defend it, but this is the sauce. This is every single reference.
It doesn't have Genesis 3:15, which I think can probably be stretched into this.
Let me
Remind
take it to
me,
the map.
what is 3:15?
The seed of the woman will step on the head of the serpent.
Oh,
But that's not very specific, though.
No, but it's early on as you're starting
And
the.
it hasn't happened yet, but that's fine. That's how prophecies work.
Well, he started the process, and it's guaranteed to finish. And yeah, I like
Okay.
the telescoping. You're talking about the telescoping?
I mean, has the seed of the woman crushed the serpent with his heel?
Has there been 1,000 years of Israel reigning on earth?
No.
you know what I've been
Right.
seeing a lot of lately?
Say again, Deanna.
I've been seeing a lot of people talking about you have two types of people in the world: descendants of Adam and descendants of the serpent. I've been seeing a lot of references to this lately, and it has to do with all this evil in the world. And they specifically talk about they might look human, but they're not. And I keep coming across stuff like this all the time, and I don't know if it's the law of attraction kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you notice, if you start thinking about a thing, you just start seeing it. There's a word for that, and I can't remember what it's called.
We looked it up once, and I forgot it. That word for. I found some crazy name for it. I don't know if it's the word you're thinking of.
Like when I bought my BMW, I started seeing BMWs everywhere.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, you get tuned to it, kind of.
No, but life is generally like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Truett came in and said hammer and die were used to make coinage until about the 17th century, or a drop press with a die.
I know about the drop press. That's why some of the Roman coins are kind of crooked, because it wasn't all that accurate.
Right. Central 1234 is chiming in saying, right on. I think this was about the two types of people.
Mm.
We've talked about that before, and I think spiritually it's absolutely true. I still don't know if genetically there's a difference. I do think there's cursed Canaanite lines, but I don't know if the seed of the serpent got into the bloodlines. I'm not 100% against it, but I certainly don't teach it at church.
Well, why do we have so many different blood types?
I got you. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that.
And some of the blood types don't mix well. Your kids come out goofy or diseased, or they don't live.
Yeah. I do think genetics were messed with. I think we see
I
that.
definitely believe that,
Yeah.
because our telomeres were capped off.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that could match even the fall from the garden, right? That the telomeres would start chopping each other.
I don't know enough about how that works,
Yeah.
but something was cut.
Well, and they get shorter as you get older. The ends get cut off, every time your cells reproduce. It's kind of part of how we age.
It had more to do with when your cells reproduce, they're not always reproducing accurately.
I think that's just normal mutation. But yes, I think we're all kind of on the similar.
No, I think the inaccuracy of the reproduction part is the reason why we age.
Okay. I think that could be. I've heard that the telomeres get shorter too, and eventually they start getting too short. But I'm not a.
Didn't Adderall used to sponsor a company that did the product with telomeres?
I don't remember. Let me think.
I cannot remember the name of the company.
He did do like a healthy age slowing downy thing, I guess. Well, I'm trying to think.
Here, let me write it down. I'll ask him. I'll DM him or something.
I'm trying to remember if I heard him say telomere on an ad.
This would have been a while. This would have been like a long time ago.
More than a year and a half? Because I started watching Adam about a year and a half ago.
That sounds about right.
So I might have just missed it.
I've already been away from Honeywell for pretty much a year and a half.
Yeah.
So this might go farther back than that.
Have we exhausted your notes, P-Thaggy?
Yeah, I didn't have any notes, but since you were curious about the drop, the PDF, that's there for future reference if you ever want to talk about prophecy. Like there it is. It's just there in one page.
Nice.
I thought it was really helpful.
I did not make a lot of notes on this. I mean, you saw how quickly it took me 30 minutes to go through 18 verses, which that's a pretty good clip for how fast I normally go.
The only thing that stuck out to me was the fact that they were Hittites living in Canaan. And typically we think of Hittites as living in Turkey, like farther north.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the lines would have been drawn very differently back then, so no problem. But I thought, why specifically Hittite?
You know, you just made me... Yeah.
It dilutes the word Canaanite. It's like Canaanite is like an umbrella term. It's not very specific.
Right. Right. I mean, you're sitting there going, the first deed to land in Canaan is in Gerar, and now it's suddenly in Hebron. So it's like, what is or isn't Canaan?
Well, when we did the Abimelech chapters and we did Gerar, I always considered it an Amorite-speaking country that was a minor kingdom, a very minor kingdom. And here again, you know, if he's in this neighborhood, if he's parked in this neighborhood of Bathsheba,
yep,
or Bethel,
yep,
Beersheba. So it's a little unclear exactly where he is because I don't think he's at Bethel anymore. I think he's farther south. But
yes,
either way, it sounds to me like another minor kingdom.
Right.
And on that note, there's some translations of this, what you read, when Ephraim, whatever his name was, the guy who owned the field.
Yep. Ephraim.
What was his name? Ephraim. Ephraim said, when he said, what is it between us? He actually calls him a prince, or in some translations, a king.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you're a king, so I'm not gonna charge you anything. Come on, man, you're a king.
Yeah, what did he call him?
Well, it depends on the translation, but I thought it was interesting that Abraham by this time was already considered a king.
Agreed.
And if that's true, it supports my theory that these are tiny, tiny, tiny kingdoms. You got a few tents, you got the manservants, the maidservants, you got a kingdom.
Right.
Yeah, let's look up 23:6.
Hold on. Just add water. All right. I always thought that was cute. 23:6. 2 tents, add water, got a kingdom. What would you say? 23 what?
6.
23:6. All right.
Mine
Hear
says
us.
Prince.
Yeah, they call him Lord in most of these translations, but I remember when I looked at that word, I'm like, that's Prince. Yeah, he goes, Neshi or Nessi, that's a prince.
Yeah, mine specifically says mighty. Ooh, you know what? Let me go get my 1611.
Or a chief.
I'll be right back.
Hey, war chief. Hear us, war chief. So, you know me, Pythagi. I'm often trying to figure out, I really want to respect Abraham. I want to stay biblical. But I think there's plenty of ways to see him as pulling off scams. Like the guy, Abimelech, comes up to him and he's like, hey, listen, let's work this out. And he's like, all right, but I got this long list of water wells that I got to negotiate with you that I've already got a plan for. So it's like a lot of kickbacks. He just got 1,000 pieces of silver from him, and he's like giving him 100 back. It's like right in front of the people, they're playing out what could be a prearranged deal. You see what I'm saying?
Sort of, but I agree. It does seem ostentatious. He's doing it in the full presence of everybody
Right. And
because
when you,
there weren't contracts back then, so that was the way to do it.
I think so. But when you mentioned that Ephron is not from around there, I'm like, so Abraham. It's like I can't get it out of my mind. You know how the CIA took Disney around and they bought with shell companies a boatload of land, and it all just turned into Disney World. It's got that feel to it.
Well, there's another way to look at it. Like
Yeah.
if the Hittites originated in the north and they pushed that far south, and Abraham himself pushed that far south,
Yeah.
you wonder what's going on with Canaan. Why are they in such a weak state at this point?
Right.
Like the land seems to be wide open.
That's a good point.
Hey, my 1611 calls him a mighty prince too.
Nice. So Duppy points out Hittites controlled parts of Syria at times, but it could be conflated with Hurrians, who went all the way down to Palestine. That's a good tip.
Well, I think he might be onto something because your translation kept saying Hurrian, but my translation kept saying Hittite. So I think there is some confusion there.
Did mine say Hurrian? Let me check again.
What line is that, Thaggy?
Oh, I don't know the line. I'm outside, but in the reading, when he was reading the scripture, his translation was slightly different than mine, and he kept saying "son of her," Hurrian, her this, her
Yeah.
that. So.
Now, different Bibles do have different translations.
Uh-huh.
Notice that just between my Bible, my regular Bible, and G. Ross's.
Well, I'm surprised you found it in the 1611.
I know.
That's pretty
Hey,
impressive.
this Bible is not numbered the way we're used to. This all my and
You're
all the
getting,
chapters are in Roman numerals. You know
you're
what I'm
getting
saying?
used to it. Yeah. You're getting speedy.
Yeah, but you got to remember, there's a long history to the whole. We talked about this before, the Deuteronomist versus Moses himself writing this stuff down, and we can cast doubt on all these different authors. But here's one thing we know for sure: when you reference the 1611, we know the Bible wasn't written in English, so you have to always bear that in mind.
Right.
Right.
Totally.
I will say this much: despite the translations, these last couple of years, I've never been this much close or as close to my Bible ever in my life.
Same.
Well, you and a lot of people. I think I saw an article. My friend linked me an article, and he said a lot of young people are suddenly turning to religion. So religion is back on the rise, whereas before it was
Yeah.
on the decline.
People are starting to realize how much evil is in this world.
Perhaps, but I think more than evil, I think it's just confusion. There's a lot of deception around us, and therefore people are trying to find the quote truth.
When the funding agents of scientific research start marketing so hard that they use religious tactics, people are going to sense that shift and not have that scientific rigor.
Yeah.
And then when you look at like, all right, so I was looking at something earlier today talking about Target, and they had a model that was representing some clothes that had like trans stuff on it, and that same model was wearing another outfit that literally had some satanic shit talking about pronouns. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like my son's generation, they're noticing a lot of this stuff, and they're not like the snowflakes. They're different. You know what I mean?
Right. So the pushback could get pretty fierce.
And so, people are noticing this shit. I mean, look at Bud Light, for instance. People are fed up with this shit. And then you got that Ford truck commercial. Do you see that one with the rainbow truck?
Uh-uh.
All right, so the commercial starts off. There's two trucks, and they're muddy as hell. You can't see what color they are. They're just covered in mud, right? And they're romping through the desert on like a dirt road.
Yep.
And then they go through some water, and the mud is washed off. And one of the trucks has something like that rainbow flag, kind of, on the entire truck. You know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
people are tired of, keep your bedroom to yourself. I don't need to know your
Yeah.
business.
No, yeah. I mean, Woody
How does it
Guthrie.
apply to politics in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I,
keep that
I
shit to
think
yourself.
I think Woody Guthrie's words still ring true. This land is your land, it's my land, and it was made for you and me. But you're right. When you start making it political, that's a
Right.
different story. That's what conservatives don't like.
And
No.
people are starting to get fed up. You know what I mean? Like, to the point where I have to respect the fact that you want a pronoun. You know, excuse my language, but fuck you for being weird. You know what I mean?
Or fuck you for trying to make this the most important thing when we're facing, you know, uh,
Right.
Thank
credit
you.
default, and we're in a war, and trillions of dollars go missing because we just give it to corrupt oligarchs.
Right.
And we have all these bigger scale problems, and
Right.
but we're supposed to be we're being browbeaten into talking about genders and respecting everyone's fluidity.
Right.
Wait, wait,
Look
wait.
over.
Oh, I should have saved this. I swear to God, I should have saved this. Because I seen it out about a year and a half. Actually, I seen it when I was still at Honeywell because I remember showing my coworkers. They had some kind of what do you call it? I'm assuming it was at like one of these colleges, right? In like an auditorium. And there was a speaker up front, and this whatever room this was is full of people. And they have a mic in the back, right? And this was all the snowflakes you can think of. Every stereotype of snowflake pronoun that you can think of is in this group of people, right? And they're all getting on the mic. Can you guys please keep it down because I'm sensitive to loud noises and blah blah
Right.
blah? And can you stop using he, her, and can, pronouns and blah? Dude, I mean one
The
after
answer
the
is
other.
no. The answer is
Right.
no.
No, no, but this was a room full of nothing but them, right?
That was the
Uh,
triggering my anxiety meeting.
yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they
It's
and
like
it kept
it's
it
like
kept
putting a
going
bunch of
around in the circle
Furbies.
to the point like they couldn't even have the function. Whatever function it was,
If you
did
put
they ever get to the point? Because
it,
they were all
yeah.
bringing up what they were, sensitive about. You know what
If
I'm
you
saying?
put put like 5 Furbies in a room, it sounds the same.
Oh my God. People, and people are just getting fed up with this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember those little toys that talk to each other and they go, "Hello, I'm Furby," and they'll talk to each other for hours?
Oh man.
It sounds like
When
that.
you said Furby, I thought you were talking about
No, not furries. Those little toys. They look like gremlins.
I get it now. I thought you
Yeah.
okay. I
No,
heard you.
those old. They're horrible. They resurfaced like 5 years ago or 10 years ago. They redid them.
Actually, if I had the chance to buy one, I would. Just for
Yeah, they're
switching.
creepy. They're creepy. Um, Central 1 2 3 4 was saying, kind of keying off of what you were saying about 3 4 minutes ago, Black Yoda, that something's happening, like a spiritual awakening.
Nah, something is different. Because it wasn't like this a few years ago.
Right. And Truth Junkie, thanks for answering Truth Junkie Duppy in the chat. But I wanted to pull that into the call outs because he's right on target with the Ralph Ellis work.
Hey, I didn't even notice Duppy's here.
Yes,
Duppy's
I'm here.
to talk about some updates to the Hurrians.
Yeah, I think I talked about them a bit last week. I've run into a few more things, but there's 3 terms in the Bible that may refer to the Hurrians or the Hittites. They're almost interchangeable from what I can tell. The third term would be the Horites. A lot of people think that they're the same as the Hurrians. Both were Indo-European groups that came out of the Caucasus.
Right.
And they brought horse and chariot and composite bow technology with them. And that alone right there makes you wonder if there's a relationship with the Hyksos down in Egypt right after that, because the chariot was unknown in Egypt until the Hyksos got there. So were they possibly related to the Hurrians in some way? And that goes back to last week when I was talking about what I found Abraham's genealogy might be, which is an Amorite father, which is a Semite, and possibly a Hurrian mother. And they came out of southeast Turkey near Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah.
So it all kind of fits. The confusion is that the Hurrians were a different group than the Hittites, but it looks like they intermixed enough that a lot of the Hittite culture and mythology actually came from the Hurrians. So the Hurrians are a very mysterious kind of race that may have had a lot more influence on the ancient world than people think. So that's my spiel in trying to make sense of the mix up in the names. I would treat back in that from 2000 BC to 1000 BC.
Yeah.
I would treat the Hurrians and the Hittites almost as the same thing.
Infiltration, not invasion.
Yeah, there's definitely that going on.
Well, and it's the move that they make, right? Like Esther in the courts, trying to worm their way into high, powerful places. That whole pattern.
That's what the Nazis are good at.
I ran into some people saying things like, I was re-looking at the Hyksos a bit the last couple of days, and I ran into a number of things where people were suggesting, because they really couldn't do more than that, but suggesting that the Hyksos overlords, in other words, the guys that controlled everything, might have been Hurrians.
Yeah.
Whereas, the Hyksos people are left behind a Semitic cultural residue in the archaeology.
Right.
So there's really not any physical evidence that the Hurrians were in control. It was just a suggestion. And it's kind of like nobody really talks about it. They just suggest it. It's kind of weird. So anyway, taking the Hurrians back to that Ararat, Haran, or Kesh area still fascinates me.
Yeah.
I'm done.
All right.
Night, Bernie.
She's clocking out for the night.
Good night.
Speaking of suggestion, there's one thing that I couldn't comprehend or get behind because I've just never seen it. G. Ross, you said earlier that that Abraham and Sarah were estranged or separated at this point, and I'm saying I'm wondering where did you get that?
Well, she dies 26 miles away. She seems to be living 26 miles from him when she dies.
Well, when Abraham went to okay, so someone mentioned this in the chat. It might have been Central 1234. When Abraham went on this excursion to the mountaintop that God had told him to bring Isaac for the sacrifice, that was around a 3-day journey. It was a kind of thing where you got to pack up the camels and bring your tents and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if these things happen sequentially, like one right after the other, because you never know with Genesis, but just based on that alone and knowing how far a person can walk in one day,
Yep.
26 miles is pretty much on point for a 3-day journey. So
Okay.
why would you read into it that they were somehow separated or that their relationship was on the rocks? I just don't see that.
You know, there's some extra biblical hints that I didn't note down, but I did scan across. It wasn't an original thought for me, I don't think. But I agree with you. It's not slam dunk. I just kind of mentioned it or brought it up. I kind of think it, but yeah, it's not for sure.
And this is what I don't like. This is whenever you guys slander Sarah, I always get bothered. I get triggered by it. Yeah.
I've never slandered the lady.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, you have.
I think she was jealous. I think that might have been the most negative thing I've said about her.
She also used her body to run a scam on 2 kings.
No, we covered this. No. No. That's an opinion. And it's not even a very good one. It's not even a very good one. That's an opinion, man.
Right. Fair.
Change the name from Sarah to Kamala, and I'll agree.
Oh, wow, you are going to hell. Oh, shit. Damn. Is it just me, or did it get real quiet after that?
No, well, apparently we're going to hell. I mean, that's tough to swallow. I guess we're all going to hell.
Hey, I wasn't dissing Sarah in any way.
No,
said
it was
no, I
it was it was Yoda and me that was doing it.
They keep saying it. It was like 3 shows in a row, and I'm like, no. You can't say that. You cannot say that.
No, I mean, the way she treated Hagar after she actually had her kid, and then the way she treated her again once she had her own. I mean, that's got jealousy written all over it.
Okay. Oh, from tonight's reading, I had one other thought. It's not a note. It's just a question or it's an observation, I guess. So when they go into this whole business about Nahor's children, offspring,
Yep.
and Milcah suddenly becomes fertile at a ripe old age.
Yep.
It's a very similar story to Abraham and Sarah. They're doing the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like if that's your brother, then you're circa 100+ years old, and so they're doing the same kind of thing, right?
Well, hold on. Let's take that back to a couple of weeks ago, right? There was a curse that was lifted.
Yeah. Did Milcah get in on that?
That's what I'm wondering.
Interesting.
Well, was it lifted on the house of Nahor? Was it lifted on the house of Abraham? I don't remember reading that.
No, what I'm saying is, were Abraham and his brother together at the time?
Probably not.
Hey, Aggie, I've got something for you to file away in the back of your mind that I stumbled across last week. whenever we're talking about the extraordinarily long ages of these people, or them having kids when they're 90 years old and things like that. I was watching a video where a Egyptologist, who's also a biblical scholar to some extent, mentioned that he thinks that rather than individuals, some of these stories may have to do with clans. So, in other words, instead of the lifetime of an individual that lived to be 175, it could be the clan that took its name from that individual living to 175. Now, I'm not saying that that's the way it has to be or anything like that. I just thought it was a really interesting observation, because I do know this. The reason that we spend so much time talking about this stuff and debating it is because these people thought very differently than we do. So it's kind of hard to grasp where they were coming from. So
However, I do think a year is a year, and I just from a strict reading, it does sound like they're talking about individuals.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally tonight, Sarah was 127 when she died, and then we go into the whole burial process. So that's an interesting thing to file away. But instinctually, it doesn't resonate with me.
I'm not saying that's the way it is. I just thought it was an interesting thought, and it would, if it was true, it would explain obviously the long lives, but also the repeated patterns of these people having children very, very, very late in life and things like that.
But it would also make these tribes very short-lived.
Let me ask this, or add this to the conversation. Earlier, when we were talking about telomeres and our DNA being like spliced and edited, what if that edit took place after these stories? And before the edit, you could live longer and have children at an older age. That's just a hypothesis.
So I tend to go with what you're saying, Black Yoda, and I like how Pythagi is saying if one is to be a literalist, this is what one would get from the text, if I can interpret it that right.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
But let me do the typical G. Ross thing. I'm kind of the same, but then when Duppy says that, I'm like, well, I need some woo to make it work. I think Vril Lizard technology explains it.
Well, I would like to ask Yoda if you're on this editing hypothesis, who are the editors?
Lucifer. He hasn't liked us since the day we were made.
But even earlier,
he's been trying.
We read back in the Noah days. Back in the Noah days, we read where God said, "I'm going to limit the age of man because I can no longer contend with them, and I'm going to limit it to 120 years." Now, mind you, that didn't happen with Abraham and Sarah and a great many other people. It didn't really start happening until I think the Moses time, which is almost 1,000 years later. That's when we started to see the 120-year cutoff.
I can see that.
Truth Junkie says,
"Yep, yeah, go ahead."
They weren't vaxxed back then.
But that's a good question.
Vaxxed. Okay.
Yeah, vaxxed.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you said faxed. Yeah, vaxxed.
Vaxxed. Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
Think about, all right, there's lost technology that we don't know about.
Right.
There's all kinds of things that took place that we don't know about. And it's really hard to speculate on some of this stuff. But the one thing I can say, Lucifer hates us with a passion, and he's been trying to destroy God's creation since the day he found out about us. The moment
Would you say he's doing a good job? Would you say he's succeeding in that effort?
No, we keep over.
At the end of the Bible, he doesn't.
And even now, we're pretty populous. Like, there's 8 billion of us.
I will say this much. He's all in right now. He is giving it one hell of a go.
Yeah, but G Ross is saying we keep growing, and the serpent head was not crushed yet by the heel of the woman, whatever that scripture was.
Right.
So, I mean, you could say he's on a tear right now, but I don't see it.
Ooh. Truth Junkie has tied it all together. Vril nanotechnology leading to the Rh negative and positive blood types. Going back to what Black Yoda said 10 minutes ago.
Mm.
What is the significance of the Rh blood type?
It's a sign of two different. Yoda, you're the expert on that one. Can you?
I am not the expert. I know
Compared to me.
RH. I know RH has something to do with recess.
But do they live longer, or are they immune to
The
certain
cell.
pathogens? I don't know.
So in the negative, a lot of your cell structure is on the inside of the cell, and in the positive, you have a lot that's on the outside of the cell. So the Rh positive are more susceptible to like sickness. Think of it like the negative is built like a tank, and you got people in the tank driving it, right? Versus the positive is like a pickup truck, and a lot of
So what you're saying is
a
Stacey
lot of what's
Abrams
in your
is
cell is like in the bed of the truck. Does that make sense?
so Stacey Abrams is Rh negative, is what you're saying.
That gap in your
Like
teeth.
tank.
Well, also, if there's superpowers in the blood type, Yoda, does that make them a good guy or a bad guy? Is that a sign of like you're part of Satan's team, or is that some kind of like a these are blessed people, these are God's people? How would
I
you read
wouldn't
that?
call them blessed. I'm just pointing out the difference.
I know, but you have to consider because you say you can see demons and stuff, and they're real, and things are getting hot right now. So on this topic with the blood types, would those people be God's people, or would they be the alien sort of super soldiers?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Abraham comes across as having almost powers.
How so?
Well, he had that Chaldean knowledge. Apparently, remember I was saying that in extra biblical text, he brought this wisdom from southern Iraq and
Yeah.
somehow taught Egypt everything that they know. Which at the time I said I don't buy that. But it sounds like hero worship. They're just trying to create this guy into some kind of Prometheus firebringer. I'm teaching you everything that you know.
Yeah, not so much superpowers, but more like Batman. He's got massive knowledge and a good fighter.
Oh, deductive power.
Yeah.
I know where you're going to be and when. I'm going to intercept you.
Right. I mean, Abraham, when we talked about this a couple months ago, he has 318 Green Berets that were born in his house. So that means they're second gen warriors. So
Ralph
people
Ellis thinks that those were referring to officers.
Yeah.
And he makes the point that if you think of those officers as commanding 100 soldiers, like oh crap, what's the Roman word for those?
How do you feed that
like
many
a
people?
legion or something?
Like centurions. Now Abraham has an army of 30,000 people.
Right.
Where
But
do you
it
get
makes
the food for that many people?
they ate it as they took the spoils. The text even says the men can take the spoils. We're talking about the surplus beyond that. But
Well, let's go. Let's take it back to that dinner that he had that one time, where they
You mean
had
after
asked
the
some.
battle of the five kingdoms?
that could explain.
Because remember, he rejected it. He said, "Feed, let my allies feed their men, but from you I will take nothing."
Right.
Because remember we were talking about they might have been huge in stature.
Yep. And maybe that just means they each have 100 men that follow him.
And
Duppy,
not 30,000, yeah.
or each one has, yeah. Duppy, those officers were born in his house, though, if I read the text right.
Yeah, but does that mean that they're relatives in his dynastic house, not his
Maybe.
physical house?
Yeah, I could see that. I tend to go pretty literal, but that's reasonable.
Exactly. If you're literal, it's hard to know because he had very few children. Yet, if you consider the situation and sleeping with your concubines or maidservants was pretty much okay, that might also explain how he would grow in numbers. But,
Yeah.
the Bible tells us so little.
Well, the only loved son, Isaac, is a pretty strong, part of the story.
Yeah, but he had his whole personal army.
Yep.
His banditos were way before Isaac was born.
That's true.
Yep.
So which is it? Do people because apparently from the Bible and from the extra biblical sources, they say that people just went with him wherever he went. He had a strong influence, and people wanted to be in his camp, and they just kind of switched alliances. They're like, "Well, I'm going with this guy."
Well, let's think about how gossip works. They're out there kicking ass. You know what I mean? Word of mouth.
Yeah.
These people know who Abraham is.
Yeah, correct. To the extent that they call him a prince.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps you would need at least 30,000 people to reach
And if Teru, the king of Urkesh, was his father, that would
Right.
make Abraham a prince.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Well, that's a slam dunk. That's a reverse dunk, blind dunk, teabagging your opponent. Nice.
Shattering the backboard.
That's why I love these conversations with you guys, people.
Yep.
If you know what, if church was more like this, I would participate. You know?
So I'm preaching at the church on June 11th, and I'm covering Keter Laomer.
I forgot
What
that is.
are you going to say about Cheddar Dog?
I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to. It can only be like 40 minutes long, so
Only you got a 40-minute exposition on Cheddar Dog?
yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that we talk about in here, I'm gonna try to work it in. I probably will focus on how he's Lot's kinsman redeemer, because that's a very Jesus type thing. So Lot gets kidnapped. Lot's probably not. You said something, Black Yoda?
No, I was trying to remember what it was, and you just reminded me. Okay.
Lot was probably not being careful enough. How do you get captured by an invading army that's got 4 kings? You're kind of. And later on, you see Lot's talking to his sons-in-law, and they're like, now you're getting revenge on us. They probably were trying to tell him, you should hide, you should hide, you should hide. So anyway.
Let's take it back to what I was saying about Abraham.
Yeah.
Gossip, word of mouth, popularity.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They might have kidnapped his ass as a ransom.
Absolutely. I think that's on the table. So here comes Abraham as a type of Christ to jump into action immediately and save that lost sheep, essentially.
That's his boy. That's his, because he doesn't have his own son yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's his nephew. You know what I mean?
So I'll hit on that. I'll hit on right living, as sports announcers like to talk about. Whatever Abraham was doing, 318 Green Berets or officers, Duppy, I'm going to go literal. But 318, powerful men just are there, ready to just follow him into battle. and probably hit
So you're
like
saying he
yeah.
had like an elite SEAL squad or something?
Yes, yeah, and I'll probably hit on how until that event happened, he didn't care that world politics were not a thing for him. Like he was just sitting there going, whatever, meh. I'll also hit on tithing because he tithes to Melchizedek. It's a
That
lot in that 10 sentences.
that can't necessarily be true because if he didn't care about politics so much, how did he already have such a large group of people when he
Right,
went to Egypt?
right. No, for sure. In a way, he's obviously a master of politics. He waited and waited and waited. And as they were on their way out, having routed the land, he goes and just annihilates them and comes back essentially a hero because Lot gets a job as a local councilman immediately. He gets installed as a carpetbagger.
Well, if he really is a prince, that would kind of explain why he has so many people and can afford so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like Ralph Ellis needs to do a deep dive on Genesis. Like, were these guys, you know how it was Jesus was a real king and Mary Magdalene was a real queen? Are we saying that Abraham
He,
was a real prince and Sarah was a real princess?
well, it's more than that. I think Ellis alludes to Abraham possibly being an actual pharaoh.
What?
Yep, that'll melt your brain.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah, Hyksos pharaoh probably.
Infiltration, not invasion.
Yep.
Well,
Look,
back then they had a lower and upper, right?
Yeah, the Hyksos ruled Lower Egypt, the Delta, for a couple of 100 years.
is it reasonable to say that Jesus put martyring on the map and his followers started doing it and really changed the way like large regional governments behaved after that?
Well, that part is true. When you go to fast forward to the Roman Empire,
Right. So I say
yes,
that to say this lineage has a way of progressing how local large governments like evolve. This lineage seems to
This lineage infiltrates local governments.
right. And I think Jesus on the cross was an ultimate example of that and flipped it. And he didn't raise a single sword. Now he had to die, but he got resurrected. There's something to it. I can't quite
yeah,
fully
but
elucidate it.
this is a tangent. But if we're talking about Jesus' resurrection, uh, he said when he resurrected, when the women found him and they realized who he was, even though he was in different garb and they were confused at first.
Right.
Once they realized who he was, he said, "Do not touch me." And
Right.
there's some text, some scholarly essays who said if he said, "Do not touch me," it implies that now I'm become a god, kind of like the
Sure.
reborn Osiris or the reborn any god. Once they're reborn, they're in their god form. They're not in their human form.
Kind of
And then
like
they say, "Do not
Gandalf.
touch me." Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
Mm.
if you were to touch him, you would instantly die because he's now in God form.
But he lets
Well,
them touch him a
wait,
few
wait, wait,
days
wait, wait,
later.
wait, wait, wait.
Yeah, he
If
lets
he's,
Thomas touch him. Yeah, that's true.
if he's in God form, I thought we aren't able to hear the actual voice of God because it would be too much.
No,
Well, that's
Moses could
why.
hear it,
Yeah, but that's why it was always dreams and bushes and
and special
weird
people.
stuff. Except with Abraham, he's and Noah, they seem to actually meet with him and speak with him in person.
No, but what I'm saying is, if
Or
Jesus was
they.
actually in God form at that point,
Yeah.
just by talking to those ladies, wouldn't that be too much as a vocal?
Oh, yeah, it does kind of undermine the argument. Yeah, I guess that's true. Like his voice would shatter their eardrums or something. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, but he's got both.
What if God sounded like Fran Drescher?
Oh
That
my
would mess with
God.
your head.
Oh my God.
Why would you do that?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
Or
think there's
Ben
something about
Shapiro.
infiltrating the Roman Empire by being the lowest of the criminals and being a public display and a spectacle. I don't know how it works, but I think there's something there.
Who was
Well,
I
yeah,
talking to?
it does seem very ostentatious. All these stories do seem kind of ostentatious.
I
Well,
think I was
guys,
talking.
remember Ellis says that Jesus was a real king,
Right.
and that he was making a play for the throne of Rome.
If you look at the Catholic Church for thousands of years, I think he got it. Certainly for his
Oh,
chosen 12.
I
well,
think the
yeah,
Catholic
you know,
Church
you're
is
right.
different than what people actually think it is,
But in a manner of saying, people do
or at
call
least the
Jesus
Vatican.
king.
Wait, what'd you say, Pythaggy?
You're right. Because even down to modern age, people, believers, the faithful do often they do often reference Jesus as the king.
Right.
So there might be some truth to that.
I think most people interpret that as a spiritual king or something like
Well,
that.
yeah, as a product of Calvinism, that it was always
Well, in the story, he looks right at Pilate and says, "My kingdom is not of this world."
Well, let me let
Right.
me let me break it down this way. Kings get their authority through God.
Good call.
Mhm.
Now,
not always, but
That
go ahead.
that may only be a Catholic Church kind of thing.
Or a pharaoh
I'm
kind
not
of
sure
thing.
that. Well, but the Pharaoh was considered to be God.
Oh, right. Well, and that's the upgrade. You see what I'm
So
saying?
so in the Chinese tradition of the emperors, they had a similar thing where they ruled by what was called the mandate of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever won the battle and established their kingdom, they also said it was by divine right, which I don't think most Westerners realize. There was a quote mandate of heaven.
Well, I think almost all of those guys claimed that to legitimize their standing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree. I think that it's secondary, not primary.
Right.
now the reason
It's
why I brought that
both
up is
top. Yeah.
because, all right, so with the Catholic Church, like especially like with European kings, they didn't actually become king until they got the blessing from the Pope,
But that
right?
didn't
Because
start until circa 800
no,
AD.
no, I
Yeah.
get that, I get that. But if they get their authority through God and Jesus is the Son of God, that would make him the King of Kings.
True. Yeah, I agree. But there's a lot of ifs in there.
Yeah, that's true. So I think my sales pitch, Duppy, and it's kind of half baked, being baked real time here. I think it's just an upgrade to locking it in, right? Behold, I am actually a god myself. That would be a pharaoh thing. But now, no. God's up in heaven, and he's told me to be. But this pattern you've seen before too. Like they're the incarnation of God on earth, right? That's
Right.
kind of an
Well,
established thing.
okay, good point. So that calls monotheism into question because if you are God above other gods, is that
Mm-hmm.
monotheism? If you have Satan and angels and this whole hierarchy, is that monotheism? It really is kind of a strange thing.
Well, Thaggy, I think you're bordering on the question of
Heresy? I
how
know.
no why the concept of the Trinity became necessary.
Okay, if you can tell us why it became necessary, I'd like to hear it.
Well, say you have someone who claims to be God on earth, right? Does that also imply that there is a God in heaven that is different from the God on earth in some of these older traditions.
Wait a minute. I got to stop you there.
So that's no, I'm saying older traditions like non-Christian
Hang on,
or
let me read you
All right,
something.
all right. Even with the Bible,
So,
it tells us specifically Lucifer is the god of this world, and we do have a God in heaven.
so check out Colossians 1:15 through 17. Christ is the visible image of the invisible God, which is exactly what Duppy just said.
right. But imagine you're, Sargon of Akkad or something, and you just
Mhm.
conquered a bunch of places and proclaimed yourself emperor, and you have to legitimize your reign by calling yourself a god on earth.
Right.
Does that imply that there are other gods up in heaven that maybe you communicate with or answer to? So
Oh,
that is not monotheism.
No,
right.
but Paul keeps it as monotheism in that quote that I just read.
Right.
Wait,
So is
wait,
that
wait.
so I'm asking the question, is this why the concept of the Trinity became necessary to accommodate
Well,
monotheism?
right.
Well,
So Paul,
let me put it this way. All right, so your analogy is somebody kicked some ass, conquered some shit, declared himself emperor. Isn't that a lot like Biden claiming to win votes and be
Sure.
president?
nice.
But
That's awesome.
I think
So,
Biden will be the last one to tell you that it was ordained by God that he do
right.
so.
Because he
Or
doesn't,
he probably
Or
would
no,
tell
he'd
you
say
as he's
it was
licking his ice cream.
The God
ordained
of
by
this world.
the thing.
the thing,
Right.
right? Well, guys, listen. He's got his aviator glasses on. He's like, guys, calm down. I got this. I was ordained by, well, the thing.
Oh my god, that is hilarious.
So
But I
what?
see Nova in the chat. Nova's advancing the plot.
Yes.
He or she is saying henotheism, which
Yeah.
is
What
the
does that
word I
mean?
was struggling to think of a few weeks ago. Henotheism means other gods. If you
Oh,
respect or
man.
even acknowledge other gods, that's not monotheism. That's henotheism,
Correct.
which is what most of the Old Testament is about, is henotheism.
Yeah.
What is
And
the
you can
girl?
imagine that's a transitional form from polytheism to monotheism. You
So just
almost
a
have to have that at
dumb
some point.
question. If we remove nomenclature and don't worry about being caught up in word usage battles, we know there's angels, we know there's archangels, we know there's fallen versions of both. One of them, they're all created except for the uncreated creator. I don't see how the old texts being henotheistic, it's like you're just shifting what defines as, like, the more you learn, you're like, oh, there had to be a supreme creator. I'm
Well,
babbling in.
there's
Well, yeah, even Greek mythology has that. They have the demiurgo.
Right.
So there's the one that Platonists talk about, and Neoplatonists talk about the one. Even Parmenides,
Excellent. Yeah.
before that tradition, the Greeks always believed in the ultimate source, the one, and yet they also believed that there was a lesser one appointed to do the creating.
Right. And the Catholics call that the great miracle, and I can't find a source on that. The great miracle was that the Greeks found out that we needed a demiurge and a representative. What they didn't know was that was all one person.
Wait, wouldn't
But
that
is
be?
it? No, but that's the central
Wait, hold
question.
on.
Well, that's the
Is
hypostatic union
it
of God
one
and man in
person?
Christ.
Wouldn't that
But
be
is
where
it
the
one
angels
person?
come into play?
It's the person of Christ. Sorry, Yoda.
The little demi versions of God. Wouldn't that be where the angels come into play?
That word's misleading. The demiurge is the source.
No, he's not the
I thought
source.
demi
Oh,
was like part
what's the
God.
name of the? Okay. What's the name of the supreme?
Diana Ross.
No. Just to clarify, the demiurgos is the architect, or many translations of Plato say the artificer, the architect.
Right.
The fabric.
That sounds Freemasonish.
It very
but
much is
that's-
Freemasonish.
Oh shit.
Man, you guys just jumped through so much awesomeness so fast.
You know, I was thinking about that a little while ago. For such a small piece of meat on this potato, out of what we read tonight,
Yep.
somehow we expanded this conversation leaps and bounds.
Yep.
And I'm not disappointed with the conversation that we had tonight.
No.
Not even a little bit.
No. Agreed.
Matter of fact, I don't think I've ever been disappointed. I really enjoy these Wednesday nights with you guys.
Same here.
In chat, I would talk more to the chat if I could see it. But because I'm out here on the patio, I don't have my laptop. So to the chat, I apologize.
They're still talking about living to 120 in the chat, from what I could see. So they're behind.
Oh, that's funny.
Isaiah 45.
No, for sure. For sure. I'm on the phone with you guys, but when I look at my desktop, it's like 10 or more minutes behind, even when I refresh. And
Really?
I never understood why that happens.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Maybe reload it.
No, he said he
No,
does.
I F5. I
Oh.
refresh, and
Well,
it's still way behind.
You can see on the bottom the slider bar for where in the video you are. At the very end, there's a button that says live. If it's red, then you're caught up.
I am live, but I'm telling you, man, it's.
Oh,
it's
I
way
know it's
behind.
behind.
Yeah. Anyhow, but yeah, I enjoy these talks too. It's kind of waking me up and got my creative juices flowing. I didn't think I had much to contribute, but yeah, we love the tangents. We love the tangents. And as the police officer in this group, I think the tangents are definitely approved. It made a richer substance. Yeah, it's good.
Well stated.
I mean, this was a small potato.
Oh, was that my closing thought? Okay. Yoda, you go.
Oh, are we closing?
I don't know.
Wouldn't be the horriblest of ideas because I have to get up early, as they always make me.
Okay. I don't have much to add outside of what I just said. To the chat, I apologize that I don't comment more. It's only because I can't see you, you know. And like I said, I thoroughly enjoy these conversations, and for such a small topic to talk about. I mean, I was a little curious about the fact that they buried her in a cave. Like, you see cave mentioned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little curious about that. You know what I mean?
I wonder if, people still do that even to this day with mausoleums.
Yeah.
I think rich people do use caves.
Well, I was thinking about that when you guys mentioned it at the beginning. There's clearly cultures that bury their dead, and we know that still happens. And then there's cultures that bury their dead.
Yep.
I wasn't for a tradition that believes in the grave or the soul. It never made sense to me why graves were the way to go.
Right.
But I guess it's kind of like, again, the Chinese emperor. You get buried with all of your possessions and your servants alive. You get to bring all that shit with you. Like, somehow the idea of the grave is this place where you're going to spend the rest of your god frickin' existence, and you want all those people with you, and it's twisted. And I don't know how human beings get talked into this stuff, but yeah, that's another tradition.
You just help.
Well, I think the grave thing is easy to figure out because Think about all these battles that take place, and you got bodies laying all over the place. Give it a good week. That's going to be a funky area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a mass grave, yeah.
And it doesn't take long for people to realize, let's bury this shit because it's funky. You know what I mean?
But if you go back far enough, I've run across a number of things where ancient societies actually buried their family members under the floor of their house so they could be close to them.
What?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of homesteading and farmsteading these days, or at least there's a lot of talk about it. And I watch a couple of YouTubers. They say that you get really good trees if you plant them over a dead loved one.
There is a company, bro. There is a company that makes these pods. So, like, when you have like somebody that dies, you put them in these pods and you grow a tree from it.
Yeah. It's interesting. Supposedly you make good trees.
That's like human composting in Washington State.
Yeah. Why is that so evil?
I don't necessarily think it is. I
Right.
mean, like George Carlin said, let's really recycle. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful though, because you give these whack jobs an inch, they take a mile.
Right. Totally true.
Yeah.
Well, and that goes
like a true conservative. Yes.
I look at it like this. Once the transceiver receiver is disconnected from the soul,
Yep.
the body is just a shell.
You lose the transceiver, you become the transgender.
So once that connection is gone and the body is dead, it doesn't have a function. The body isn't who we are, people.
But you can decalcify that pineal gland, right?
You can try.
Yeah, but I'm still caught up in how many different cultures do this with having no contact with one another.
Right.
Whether it's burial mounds, the mounds of the Native Americans, or
Right.
the burial mounds of Vikings where they're buried with their ships and all their possessions and all their swords and hatchets. It's strange to think that all these different cultures want to bury their dead, and in the Egypt tradition, they're being freaking mummified.
Mm-hmm.
So
how do you even learn how to do something like that?
Okay, who are the editors? Who are the editors? Who's telling you this?
The Holy Spirit is the editor.
No, it's the. Come on, we know who the editors are.
Was that space alien sounds?
Yeah.
I think he was trying to do R2D2.
That's awesome.
He's doing the Jetsons.
Oh, right.
We're gonna come down in our spaceship. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So if that wasn't closed for me, I didn't mean to start a whole nother topic. I get that G. Ross, his time is because it's only
Yeah.
let me see.
Well, because of the Machado seminar.
It's only 11:15 for me. So I know that's like 1:15 for G. Ross, I think.
Yeah. Because of usually I take a nap before the show, which helps, but I had the Machado seminar, so I'm a little behind.
What's a Machado seminar?
At Jiu-Jitsu.
He's high level. He's at the level of original Gracie. I'm not trying to offend the Gracie fans, but the Machados are up there, and he's one of the original Machados.
We have them all over LA. They dominate LA.
Yeah. That's probably part of why the Machados branched out, like he moved to Texas.
Are these cartels or what?
No, he's talking about jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
It's like a school of martial art.
I got you.
Different styles of Tai Chi, the Yang and the Sun and the Wu. Different styles of jiu-jitsu.
Yep. Anyway, you guys are
all
awesome.
Right. So as far as the close, I'm done. But I think
Sweet.
I will bring out my 1611 in the future
Nice.
just to compare wordplay. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to bring out the Septuagint. I'm going to bring out my LXX.
Nice.
Bring out your what?
Yeah.
The Vulgate.
I didn't
the
hear him.
most literal and agreed upon Old Testament is the Septuagint.
Okay.
Excellent.
Even that one has
Duffy?
arguments about translation
Duffy?
errors.
That is so easy to sidestep as a literalist. You guys can try all day. It's never going to
Hey,
hurt
so
me.
how difficult is that one to read? Because my 1611 isn't the easiest book to read. And
Oh,
all
the
the chapters.
Septuagint is in Latin.
Oh,
No,
Yeah.
it's in Greek.
Well, it was in Greek.
Or
Originally
in
it was
Greek. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, the Vulgate's in Latin. My bad.
But yeah, you're thinking of Saint Jerome, the
Yeah.
Vulgate. But even the 1611 though, the only reason it's difficult. This is a conversation for another time, but that's right after Shakespeare, after he
Mhm.
passed.
yes.
I think there was a literacy movement in England that included a bunch of scholars like Linacre and Rosine. And I think Shakespeare, the made-up Shakespeare, was part of a literacy movement.
Francis
What most
Bacon.
people, yeah, Francis Bacon. What most people don't realize is that when you read a Shakespeare play or when you read the King James Bible, that's not how people spoke back then. They were actually trying to change how people spoke. It was a literacy movement.
So part of the
So
scam.
Oh,
it's
I
not.
don't
No, it's not.
remember.
No, it's for the good. It's a battle for the good.
Wait,
They
wait,
were
hold on,
trying
hold
to
Oh,
on.
okay.
increase
All right.
people's understanding.
This is going to be off topic, people. I apologize. But I don't remember who I was talking to. It might have been Leonard. I cannot remember. But I was talking about the English accent.
Mm-hmm.
And when you had the founding of our country, there was a lot of alcohol involved. Like a lot, right?
Because it was cleaner than water, yeah.
Even the Boston Tea Party. That
Johnny
wasn't.
Appleseed. That people
Yeah,
drank cider because it was cleaner than water.
yeah. They might have threw the tea in the harbor people, but they kept the rum. They don't tell you about that part. You know what I mean? So the point that I was making, how drunk do you have to be for a couple of generations to go from the English accent to the Southern accent?
Right.
Okay, Yoda, I know we're going late here, but I heard a rock star thesis, and I cannot back this up in any way, but I think it's worth considering. Some scholars said that the Southern accent is what the British people actually sounded like at the moment of colonization, and that the one that they speak today is completely affectatious, was made up.
You have got
Interesting.
to be kidding me.
No, and like I said, it's a rock star thesis. Like I'm going to pull the table from under the tablecloth. I'm going to blow your mind
I
here.
love it.
But that's one person's take on it. They said, no, 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 no. The Southern
So,
accent
so
was
you're
was
saying
always there because that's what the English people used to speak.
what's that comedian's name that speaks with a thick Southern accent?
You talk
Um,
about like Larry the Cable Guy or something
no,
like
no, no,
that?
no. The one that
Jeff
used to.
Foxworthy.
Yes, yes, yes. So you
Oh,
telling
right.
me that Benjamin Franklin, Adams, George Washington, they sounded like Jeff Foxworthy?
Nice.
According to this theory, this rock star hypothesis, yeah, that's the claim they're making.
Why do you call it a rock star hypothesis? Just because you
I
really
wouldn't even
like
know what
it?
to say to that.
No, because it's so out there and it's not backed by any academia, but so you're doing the rock star thing. Like
See if I can do a
I'm
Southern
just gonna
accent.
leapfrog over everyone's research and I'm just gonna do an amazing thing.
Y'all about to sign this declaration?
Wait, let me text him. This ain't got nothing to do with you. Don't get offended, bro. If you're out there. Oh my God,
He
that's
might be lurking.
hilarious.
Yeah, he might be lurking.
Oh man.
By the way, Central1234 says more Black Yoda in the chat.
Oh, they want you to get in the chat, Yoda. You got to bring your laptop out there.
You know,
You know what? I'll do that next week.
cool.
I'll get a better set. The reason why I stay on the patio is because I smoke, and I don't smoke inside.
It's not a patio; it's your garage.
No. Look here. Let me show you. So behind me, you guys see garage, right?
Yes.
Do you see how there's this big ass opening right here?
Right.
That's my
Oh, you got
garage
some.
door.
Oh, you got
That's my
some.
garage
Oh,
door, right?
oh, you are outside. Oh, it always looked like you were inside, but
Yeah.
that's the outside of the door. You're in some weird Arizona
No.
Adobe kind of house.
It's
This thing
courtyard.
is like the width. This opening that you see right here, it's like the width of
Okay,
3
okay,
doors.
I stand corrected. You are definitely outside. Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost Morocco.
But if you look at the floor, I'm on a couch, and literally it starts right there.
Yep.
Nice.
Can you see that? And that's my little mini fridge. You know what I mean? No,
Wow.
I'm on the front patio.
I stand
Sweet.
corrected.
And it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, those are lights. Yeah, but no, it's nice out here. You know what I mean? And you don't hear it right now, but I have an evap cooler over here because it's starting to be summertime. You fill it up with water, turn it on, but it's kind of loud. So the temperature, when it's on, it's a lot nicer than, say out on the street. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It'll be
Willie
like a
Fix It.
30-degree difference.
Willie Fix It wants to know, Yoda. He wants to know how many cars you got. Is that a one door or a two door bay?
Technically, it's a two car garage, but because of all the stuff that I have in here, we only use like one. You know
You
what I
got
mean?
one Mini Coupe. You don't have a
Well, there's not one
Benzie.
in here now. There's not one in here now.
You
No.
don't have a Benzito. You don't have a Benzito.
What, my BMW?
No, the Mercedes Benz.
Oh,
You
no,
have
no, no,
you
no.
have you have a Beamer. Oh, you drive a Beamer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Bim Bimma.
But no, my front patio is I spend more time out here than I do in my living room. Matter of fact, I'm hardly ever in my living room, you know? But like I said, I smoke. So when I'm doing a lot of rabbit holing and stuff like that, most of the time I'm doing it through my phone. But I got my notepad right here. I can smoke. I can grab a beer or drink a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? That's why my neighbor, she gets pissed off because these patio homes are connected. And she claims that she can hear me. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
you're in like a development. There's an HOA and everything.
Definitely a HOA Nazi bitch.
Oh
Definitely one
my
of
God.
those. Yep.
No wonder.
It's
And
horrible.
that only invites complaints. That kind of situation just is begging for complaints, where we all get to complain about each other, and that's
Yeah.
why we elect a board.
But yeah, I know from the camera angle that you guys see, technically I am in a garage. You know what I mean? But I showed it to you. I don't got to describe it again.
Word.
No, it's fine.
But yeah,
We're gonna let G Ross go to bed. We're gonna say goodnight, sayonara. We're gonna do the I Dream of Jeannie thing. We're gonna go boing, boing, boing.
You guys are awesome.
well, it was good talking to you guys. I'm glad you two chimed in.
I'm glad too. It was fun.
G Ross, you have yourself a good night.
Thank you, brother.
Until next week, people. Later, chat.
Pieces.
Good
Adios,
night.
vaya con Dios.
Vaya con Dios, dear darling. Thank you, Dubby.
All right,
next
man.
time.
Have a good one.
Peace. All right, bye. Pew. What a freaking night. These guys. We are blessed. All right, let's start some getting out of here tunes. I'm going to release. Oh, there's not a scratch and I don't think I can. Try. See if you can scratch the we got a couple. Guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but the budget's getting a little tight. I've been putting in, gold pills that I can give out a little slower lately. I think this next, year and a half until the big day. What's going to happen? And then is it really going to get tough after that? Anyway, it's Black Yoda, thanks for being the co-host. Thanks for our panelists, Pete Aggie and Duppy. Thanks for the best mod in the business, Anka Vanka. I'm going to head over while I'm taking the mic down. Let's see where we're going to see. Who's out there? Sword of Michael's out there. I'll swing by Sword. Be back here Friday at 5:30 p.m. Texas time. That's Chicago time or Central time for Mr. Anderson. That's his new name. And me to run through kind of a probably short show. Maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And then Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central Texas time will be Armor Up with Sloan TV and Rev. And with that, here, let me show you. Yeah, I don't think there's any scratch to scratch. All right, with that, I am heading over to thingies. Thank you for spending time with us. We're joined on Fridays by co-host Angular. This has been G. Ross, and you are the underscore. Be sure to catch us on the foxhole.app, DLive, YouTube, or Facebook. Current shows include The Bread Pill Weekly. You've been red pilled, now be the red pill. You're out of the oven and ready for delivery on our weekly alternative news roundup and call-in show on Foxhole, DLive, YouTube, and Facebook every Friday at 5:30 p.m. Central, co-hosted by G. Ross and Angular. Current shows include Epistemology for Fun and Profit, where woo meets goo. You're in the woo, and the woo is in you. A philosophical call-in show with occasional guest interviews, diving into the oldest questions. Most episodes are exclusively on the foxhole.app, Sunday at 11:30 p.m. Central. Current shows include 9dNation, the nation with no denomination. Declare to the custom agents any edible plants or miscellaneous worldviews. We take a look back at how we got here, eventually leading into a regular Wednesday night Bible study at 11 p.m. Central. Catch us on the foxhole.app, DLive, YouTube, and Facebook. Our Friday co-host is Angular. This has been G. Ross, and you are the underscore.